Shalom and welcome to the Hebrew Woman Show. I am your host, Ren Judah, here with my co-host Zell, and we are just going
Yay!
to Hi Zell, how are you today?
I am great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I just think it would be pretty good since Jamal Brayant has come out and said and made a commentary, gave commentary on the Cheyenne Bryant situation that we hopefully get to wrap this up. We'll definitely be wrapping it up here. But if you guys follow us over
Mm-hmm.
to the Renaissance Woman Show, we're going to follow up because we are going to also review a conversation with Torre and Jamil. Jamal. I can't think of his name. Anyway, we're going to do that over there. So just you know, let me do my intro, and then we'll get into what I think about all this. So Shabbat Shalom, everybody. First of all, I hope you all are having a beautiful Sabbath. I know I love my Sabbaths. I love to rest. And one of the topics that we are covering here right now, we have been doing consistently is leadership, because I've just been talking about my own leadership journey and the experiences that I've been having, and as well as Zell, and we just like to talk about and share that with you all. And because whether you realize it or not, as we always say here, you are leading and people are following you. You are an example to someone in your life, whether you realize it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And so the purpose of this channel is for us to explore our biblical principles and to examine ourselves. 2 Corinthians 13:5 says, examine yourselves, whether you be in the faith. Prove your own selves. Know you not your own selves, how Christ is in you, except ye be reprobate. And listen, I don't want to be a reprobate, okay? I keep telling y'all this. And so the whole point is self-reflection, meditation,
Mm-hmm.
prayer, reflection. And I think a lot of times that's just not taught in church. We've the especially I think the Christian church has just and I will even say a lot of people who of all Seven-Day Adventists, Israelites, we all they nobody just teaches prayer, meditation, and what that looks like, and how a huge part of that is literally the ability to examine yourself. You know, the Stoics talk about journaling. Marcus Aurelius used to keep a journal. That's what the meditations were. He didn't write that to be published. He never thought that people would be reading that his journals all over the world for millennia. The point is, we need to reflect and think about our behavior. Is it Christ-like, or are we being reprobates, right? So we strive to be women of Titus here. And Titus 2:1 tells us that we should be teachers of good things, and that we should be speakers of sound doctrine. Titus 2:1 says, but speak thou things which become sound doctrine, that the aged men be sober, grave, temperate, sound in faith and charity, in patience. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior that becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to too much wine, teachers of good things. Are you a teacher of good things? We talk about leadership here. Are you showing up in a way that not just talking about good things and telling people to do good things, but do you display behavior that teaches good things? Because we all know the children, what do you say? They watch what you do, they mimic you. Zell, what do you got?
Mm-hmm. You're absolutely right. I'm right there with you. It makes me think about what have I been doing today that's something that I want my family to mimic. Am I somebody that they can mimic? They can look at it and say, you know what? I'm going to do what she's doing. Hmm.
Absolutely. We're here to train ourselves to think biblically, not emotionally, because emotions, you are allowed to feel them, but as in the example of being angry, the Bible says, do what? Be angry, but sin not. You have to learn to control your spirit. And we are here to be wise counsel for one another. Women have to form communities where we uplift one another. And when you really have wise counsel around you, you should always surround yourself with people who will tell you the truth and tell you things that you may not want to hear. Proverbs 19:20 says, hear counsel and receive instruction, that thou may be wise in thy latter end. So ain't no fool like an old fool. So don't wait too long to get wise. Proverbs 11:14 says, "Where no counsel is, the people fall, but in a multitude of counselors, there is safety." There is safety in having people around you who are wise and who are going to be honest with you about how you're showing up, and you hold each other accountable. That's just what you do. And we're not telling you that you believe anything and everything we're saying, or anybody for that matter, because part of being wise is that you try the spirit. And you need to try that in the content creators that you listen to and watch. And that leads us to today's topic when we're talking about Cheyenne, whether we're talking about Cheyenne Bryant, Jamal Bryant, or anybody. Try the spirit. 1 John 4:1 says, "Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of God, because many false prophets are gone out into the world." So we all know that there is a lot of pulpit pimping going on. There's a lot of people out here now apparently just calling themselves doctors, and I don't even think the issue would be with her calling herself a doctor if she was not saying, giving all those mixed messages about counseling people, having practiced before, and now you've read a book about trauma and healing. So you're presenting as a doctor. That's the issue.
Mm,
It'd be different if you were just, presenting
mm.
as the doctor of love or something. We have people who have done that historically, called themselves doctor and not went around. I think it's just about what you do. It really is. And this again goes into our series, When Decency Disappears. And this is a Hebrew woman's guide to survival in a disrespectful world. And there's nothing more disrespectful than people looking you in your face and lying. And I feel like that is what we see with the Cheyenne Bryant situation. And to be honest, if she came out today and came up with a degree, because of all the behavior and subterfuge, who is going to believe her? I'm going to think you just
Nobody.
finally went on Chat GTP, printed something up, and put it in a frame, because you just would not have allowed this to go on this long. And then the unnecessary lie about how you weren't able to get your doctorate because the third party entity only held the records for 2 years, so you have no access, no way. So to your point earlier about what leads you to believe that it just doesn't exist, because if it were me, I begin my like you said, where are the people she went to school with that she walked
Absolutely.
across the stage with? Go ahead.
I would think that she went to school with someone. She walked across the stage. She possibly has worked. I mean, there's got to be someone that can vouch for her, even if they weren't the same major. There has to be an instructor somewhere, somebody that could say she existed. Now, I think Argosy may have been an online institution or partially online, I believe it is. So there's that issue there. But and see that also makes it extremely extremely convenient as well that she
Well, the
happens
other
to be a
part of
part
that,
of that.
even if you go to school online for what she's saying she did, she still would have had to do the clinical part. So she still would have had to show up at some point. Because I did look up, there are other schools like Argosy. I believe Phoenix of Arizona. You can look up and see if a school is accredited, and it lets you even know. And I've looked into the programs that, yeah, it's hybrid, but there are certain points where you're going to have to travel to the school and go to the clinic and do your clinicals. So
But the
I
thing
don't.
is, when they bestow the name doctor on you, so then my question becomes, did she walk?
Mm-hmm.
Did she, I mean, how did that it just kind of makes you wonder. There are
Yeah.
too many holes in it. It just makes me wonder.
And listen, the way these people brag about their degrees, I do not say, well, not everybody, but I'm just saying, there's no way. If I had a doctorate, if anybody, I'd be like, hold on, let me. I probably have a copy on here. Let me show you. So anyway, well, let us go on here and review um, Mr. Bryant's no relation, as far as I know, response to her, and I'm gonna have to put it
Mm.
on So I don't want to get a copyright strike. So
Okay.
let's his reaction.
So I have a different vantage
Hear it?
Yes, I do. I do.
Okay.
point when I am hearing so I have a different vantage point when I am hearing the conversation, the controversy, and the contention around Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. It really exposes a flurry of contradictions and hypocrisies that we really have not grappled with appropriately. I want you to consider the fact that Black people, by and large, already have overwhelming reticence around assistance towards mental health. There's far too many of us who have lived through trauma, have had to deal with the lacerations of childhood wounds, won't sit on the couch, won't talk to a professional, won't seek help. Because somehow we have made therapy synonymous with being crazy, as opposed to it being a tributary to being balanced. Other communities will
Now, I think that is a good point that he's making. And I think that's just something historically, not just in our community, but in this country, that has been done around psychology. Even in
Hmm.
other communities, they call them a head shrink. I'm not talking to no head shrink, and you know, there's something wrong with you if you just can't figure it out on your own. And I think a lot of that has changed quite a bit. We are getting people to change their mind about therapy. I can honestly say it was something that I viewed negatively, but now I see the value in it and in having that, especially now that they have it where you can literally go online and you can talk to a therapist on the app. I think
Hmm.
they make it really convenient to where people don't have that. You don't have to feel odd about going sitting in front of somebody if that's your issue, or you know filling it out. Because I mean, if you're on Clubhouse or any of these other apps, you know what I'm talking about when I say you can literally be in a room and somebody will just come on and start trauma dumping. I would rather see them or know that you are going and talking to a licensed therapist,
Yeah.
you coming in here and being counseled by Clubhouse gurus, or going on some of these panels online on YouTube and talking to people who are basically using your story to exploit you for clicks and views. You know,
But see, the thing, what's interesting about that is she uses her position and her not having the quote unquote paperwork almost as if, and being licensed, as if, hey, I'm outside of the system. I'm not like them. So you can
mm.
talk to me and it's very, very, and I'm different. I'm not like them. So she kind of uses that to her favor.
I think that if it just is a manipulation, like that's game to me, that lets you know
Hmm.
that's some street hustle. Because if you look at how the whole gamut she ran, it's just game, and it doesn't make sense when you watch her and how she tried to use her conversations with Nick Cannon, and was it, she talked to Shannon Sharp too, didn't she? And what's
Yeah.
the other guy name that dresses
Cam
like
Newton.
Cam Newton, as therapy, as examples of therapy sessions. If those are examples of therapy sessions, you have no business counseling anybody.
Hmm.
Because I don't know, to even tout those as if though those conversations, if this as if that was something therapeutic, is really bizarre to me. And to even use those, like, you saw me, and then the other thing, her talking about, I forgot what celebrity, because you guys know I don't really terrible at keeping up with celebrity stuff. But she was like, such and such slid in my DMs asking for a counseling session.
Mm.
Well, you don't even respect the confidentiality that a person in that field would have. They wouldn't be telling you, Oprah reached out to me for therapy. Like, who's going to contact you now?
Exactly.
No,
Exactly.
people are contacting you to do interviews, and just like he did, and to get some views. It is not because you are offering some fantastic service, because you can't even keep your mouth shut.
But she's not licensed, so she's making up her own rules. She
Right.
does not go, and that's part of what, when she says that's why she's not, or why she didn't seek licensure, is because she won't be held by the same constraints that others that are licensed have to stand by. But that's not actually a good thing. That's
No.
not something that, I mean, because then there's no protection for her clients. What happens if something goes wrong? If she does something wrong, they have no recourse because she's just an individual, which is part of why she says the things that she says. Because if this ever blows up in her face, she can always
Hmm.
go back and say, "Well,
I
there's
said I'm a
this,
coach.
and that." Yeah, I'm
And
a I'm a I'm a psychology expert,
right. And whatever that means.
whatever
And
that means.
just whatever she decides it means. Apparently, that's what everything means. Like how she redefined high and low functioning as if those weren't terms already medically used to describe people on the spectrum. And just to say that she coined those phrases, I thought was absolutely amazing. And here's my thing: the point is not to drag Cheyenne Bryant. This is not what this
Yeah,
is about. Because when we talk about examining yourselves, this is about what poor leadership looks like, because that's one of the things, ironically enough, she always talks about is leadership. And here you have an example of a person who's telling you, I don't want to get licensed because I don't want to be accountable. I don't want anybody to have any recourse or to hold me to any standard. I want to do what I want to do. So that's, if we're going to go by her own definition, that would be low functioning behavior, would it not? And
you're
I
right.
also think that the other issue is when the thing about lying, it you have to try to keep coming up with more lies, and just the more you see her go on different podcasts, you have to watch this lie shift over time, and it just gets more advanced, and the stories just get more complicated, the details get more convoluted. There's a story coming up about financial aid and getting your money back. It's all over the place. And so that's the thing about lying. You have to keep doing it, and then you have to try to keep your lies straight, and then it ruins your credibility, because now what has happened, you got everybody and the mama coming out, and apparently, let's just keep it being, he must have gotten some kind of pushback,
Yeah.
because for him to be on here backpedaling like this, it lets you know that even he's got a backlash that he didn't like, and he felt that he needed to come out and clean it up.
Now, when did that show air? When was it taped and aired?
This was a day ago.
I'm talking about the original interview.
Oh, I don't know. I
Okay.
just know that this here aired a day ago.
Okay.
So this particular one, and this is a little short. So
Now, I do believe, what I do wonder is why did he actually choose to interview her to begin with? What
because
would
she
make
was
him do that?
popping, she was popping.
And see, that
Like, let's
says
just
more
keep it
about him,
real.
in my opinion.
Exactly. This is why we go back to leadership.
Yeah. If he's just going with the person that's popular,
There's another video here. I see Jamal Bryant talks doctor credential controversy. Also, I don't know if this particularly aired. No, this I don't. Maybe he re-uploaded. I don't know, because the
okay.
timeline is right. But anyway, well, this is said. This isn't even a whole video. I think here this is just 7 minutes. So we'll just listen to this part. We're not gonna listen to that other video.
Okay.
Okay.
Escort their children and themselves to go seek professional help. But Black people, generally speaking, have fought it until recent vintage, saying, I'm just not going. I'm not going to sit down and talk to somebody. The danger of Sister Cheyenne Bryant, not Doctor, Sister Cheyenne Bryant,
Mm.
is that it pulls us back further because we already had suspicion. We already had a pregnant pause. And we already had an overwhelming trepidation as to whether or not medical mental health was appropriate for us. We have a long-standing, had a pregnant pause around how it is that we have been treated, as cited in the book Medical Apartheid. And so for those who are yearning to breathe free, not having to question the credentials and the qualifiers.
I just want to pause that and say that for me, one of the issues with this as well is when he's talking about the stigma that has come from people fleecing the flock.
Mm.
This is just another side of that coin. And this
Yeah.
is why people have a distrust of doctors and therapists and even in his case, pastors, because it's only been a result of backlash, right?
Yeah.
This
And it
that
makes
is what,
sense
yeah.
because it makes him look complicit. You know, he looks like, okay, so you condone this. You saying that you agree? And I mean, he has to come out and say something if or else he's in cahoots with whatever it is she's doing. He has to say something.
Now I don't know how much. Maybe I will watch the original video. Maybe he did give her some asked her about it on that first interview. But here's the thing: so you knew there was controversy surrounding
Yeah.
it. So this is a podcast, and so this goes to the conversation that I think all of us as content creators, I would like us to have is the should we be talking to them discussion, and because there's a lot of discussion around who you should and should not be collaborating with.
Mm.
And for me, I don't think it's a problem with the conversation happening. If the conversation happened in a way where he held her, he was asking her the hard questions and being sincere, then I don't think it's a problem with him talking to her. But from just the clips that I saw, I think some of the non pushback he gave, real. I don't think even though he was saying you better not get in that tub and stuff, I think people felt like he should have came back a little stronger when with her some of her messaging about relationships,
Hmm.
especially being from coming from his perspective, being a Christian minister. You should have really had some smoke for what she was saying, and because I mean, if she was on here saying that stuff, I'd be like, now hold on, don't get on her telling these people that. And I think he tried to do it in a way that, and I will tell people this: most people hosting a show are not trying to be combative with their guests. You don't want to get into it with your guests, and you
Right.
do to. There is a fine line, and there are some people like so in terms of because I was recently given some pushback about old interview of mine that someone saw, and they felt like, for example, with Obsidian, that I should have given more pushback. I'm like, if you
Hmm.
listen, I'm always giving Obsidian pushback. The issue is when you're dealing with someone like Obsidian, you say what you say and you keep it moving because if you don't, he'll just escalate and get worse.
Mm.
So, and I will say if that Torre interview was our conversation is anything to go by, looking at her behavior, she is that same type of person. You
Yeah.
have to say what you have to say and keep it moving, or she's going to escalate and do what she did to him. Start calling you softy and disrespecting you and calling you names. But she's a therapist though and a coach.
But it
So
makes me wonder how much did he know about her before he invited her onto the show?
who cares if they're popping and you're trying to get clicks and views? Because guess what?
Yeah.
He got the views interviewing her, and now he gets to get the views on the back end.
Talking about
Address,
it.
yeah. So I mean, this
That's
and so that's
wild.
the part where we have to be honest that this is part of. There's a huge element of this that is business, but where does your I don't know. I think we have to decide what the line is, and to be honest with you, that is something that I am still trying to figure out.
Hmm.
Because I always think about in terms of even journalists who have sat across from what the Barbara Walters, Charles Manson, and different people who have interviewed serial killers. You know, should you be doing that? That's a legitimate
Mm.
question. So, and at some point, I I think people do want to know. There's an element like, what were you thinking? Why did you do that? Why are you doing that? And I think it even with the incel arguments, when you talk about these red pill guys, there was, I know, especially for me, the thinking of, let's talk about this, because whether you like it or not, the incel is a person in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
In your neighborhood. Like literally, the incel is the person that you meet when you're walking down the street. This is the person
Yep.
that you meet each day. You probably have an incel working in the office right next to you. So getting an idea of what you're dealing with, I do think there is some value in that.
But the thing is, to me, was she appropriate for his show? Now, her, I can see on a Cam Newton. I can see her on Shannon Sharp. I can see her with Nick Cannon, but not necessarily when you start entering into a Christian setting. I would not have thought that she would be on. What about that show would lean towards her?
Well, she
But I,
claims to, because she claims to be a person of faith. And if you look at how Christians move today, they dress like her.
mm,
So it's not, this is not your grandmama's Christianity. Now,
which is
and Jamal
scary.
Bryant and his wife are prime examples of the modern day non-modest woman.
Mm.
So it's perfect. It seems perfectly fine to talk to her. It doesn't matter if your breasts are out or you showing your flesh. It's perfectly fine. So that is that. I think that is why, and I would even give a little pushback on that, because even being a person of faith, you still live in the world and you still go to work, you still go to the grocery store, you are still in community with these people. And I always tell people who's like, Christians shouldn't be talking to these people, Israelites, Jews, or whoever shouldn't be talking to that people. You got people in your family just like this, and you're still talking to them. You
Oh,
want to
I
work every day
agree.
with people who believe otherwise, and you're still talking to them. So I just
But
go ahead.
but then the question becomes, what is the purpose of what is he trying to accomplish with his show? Because, in my mind, if he's trying to promote Christianity, did she do that with her presence on the show?
Now that's where I would agree with you based on the clips that I saw. See, now you're going to make me have to go watch the whole interview. See, now you're going to watch it with me. We're going to watch that interview, because I'd have to see
Okay.
the interview, because it's really not fair to critique the interview if you didn't watch
Mm,
the whole thing.
mm,
And how did he address it? But obviously, something happened to where he felt he had to come back and give a response. So clearly, people weren't satisfied with however the interview went.
right,
You know,
right.
because if this is about Chris, and is it a Christian? Because again, I say that Jamal Bryant and his wife, these are not your run of the mill Christians. These are celebrity
Right.
um, people, in celebrity ministry people. So if you're a celebrity minister, you are not. You are very concerned with the optics. You can tell that by
Mm,
the way you dress. You're very concerned about the way it looks, clicks, views, and the possibility of a reality TV. I always say that these people are basically living their own reality TV show series now, and they get to do it through social media. They get to do it through their church. They get to create their own little ecosystem of celebridom in faith. You know how, like they used to say, Washington was Hollywood for ugly people. Well,
yeah.
there's like an element of that in the ministry, where you get to become a sensation, a global sensation in some people's cases.
This is true. This is
So,
true. And
Who
you're right.
raises for us another.
I was gonna say
go
you're
ahead.
right. I've got to go back and watch the whole thing too, because I'm kind of wondering, in general, did she add to what his goal was or take away from it? Was it a net positive or a net negative? And I
We
would
have to
definitely
see
need to
what
see
the
the whole
goal of
thing.
his show is, to be honest with you,
Right.
because I don't watch his show. So I don't even know what kind of interviews this guy does.
Right.
So
Who else has been on his show? Do you know?
yeah,
Who else?
because
Yeah,
if it just goes to the point again that he's just a celebrity and he has a celebrity podcast, then she's right in keeping with the theme
yeah.
of what he does. So we would have to go and let me scroll a little bit and look at who he's talking to. I see he talked to Yaki. That's what's up. Yeah, that is interesting. We will have to go take a look and
Yeah.
see what he covers. I was just looking there. Okay, and he has so many clips on this one thing that lets you know he's running like, and especially when they're doing all these shorts like this, he's trying to run up a bag as much as he can on this whole controversy. And this is what monetization is about. So this is the part of YouTube that people is you have to decide if it's good or bad to you or whatever. But this is about monetization, and he is monetizing the hell out of this right now. You still there?
Oh yeah. I mean, and he
Oh,
is. He's
yeah.
definitely getting it. He's getting it.
Yep. Sorry, go on.
Another stumbling block. To argue with your full chest.
Hold on a minute.
Us another stumbling block. To argue with your full chest that accreditation is not necessary, that the submission is only for an insurance payout, and that credentialing is only to be monitored by God, is in no uncertain terms, it is a offense and it is a felony of consciousness to suggest that those who did the heavy lifting and the hard work are really charlatans who are trying to take advantage of the community. My sister, Dr. Tamar Brayant, is the outgoing president, former president of the American Psychological Association, a Black woman who earned her bachelor's, master's, and PhD from Duke University. Her credentials are available online, as is her dissertation. To see her work feverishly to prove herself, to try to enlarge the conversation, to bring us to a table where other places we were only allotted a folding chair is absolutely criminal. I want to point back to you because with blood dripping on my hands, this uncredentialed, uncertified professional, I yielded my platform to. And right here, I want to show you this clip about discipline on taking a bathtub that would not be in any way sanctioned by a licensed therapist, psychologist, a pastor, or even a Christian. Watch this.
I want to go further because people are going to be like, okay, doc, that's cool. That's all the surface stuff. Taking a bath together. No sex. Because you both have what the Bible says marriage requires, discipline. To take a bath together.
Hey.
And have a conversation. A little triggered over there? A little triggered?
No, I just got to couch this.
There?
I got to couch this. Don't take that bath until y'all get that ring
Till
on
you
there.
get that discipline too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Discipline.
Yeah. Don't do it.
Discipline.
You're going to make me lose my license. Listen, she's talking to married people, a different, a heightened level. Thank you.
And let me say this.
Yes.
I'm also talking to unmarried people because
don't get in that bathtub.
If you
don't y'all get in that bathtub.
Listen, if you have the true essence of discipline.
Yeah, no, they ain't got it.
But there are some men that do.
Yeah.
And let me go further. Because
they
man
must teach Tai Chi.
Because you're supposed to save your chai tea,
yes,
which is really your sperm.
Yes.
Until you're doing something that's productive, fruitful, and will multiply.
Get in the tub with a bathing suit on. Don't just get in there.
Let me say this, ladies and fellas. Let me say these, ladies and fellas. A man who could bathe with you and be disciplined enough to not touch you is a reassurance for you. I did that
Don't
with a man.
test it.
I did that with a man. Listen, I don't listen to
test it.
Pastor Brayant. Okay,
Gentlemen, don't play with it.
Pastor Brayant is
You're going to mess up.
Listen, he talked.
We have to be zealous, responsible, and protective of our spaces. And when you know better, then you got to do better. You trusted me because you follow this podcast. You follow my ministry. You have confidence on what it is that I present to you. And I did not do that which was noble and that which was just by extending this platform to somebody who does not see the value in licensure.
So I wanted to stop right there because I think that's one of the parts where he ran into trouble. Is people felt like he didn't push back hard enough. So then that goes into sometimes it's easy to Monday morning quarterback somebody doing interviews because you're trying to be professional. It's like this person's over here talking crazy. And I think people have to that's where your values come in, and that's where you have to know when to say when. It's like, hold on, because I do think there's a way to professionally correct someone and not allow them to do what she did there.
Right.
You know, because he clearly had a problem. He clearly had an issue with it, right? And he did give pushback, but I think it and then she came back, but because you see, she always has I'm talking to single people too. She cannot be corrected either. So
and I mean, because it sounds like she caught him off guard and he was kind of like, wait, what? Why would you say that on a Christian? And I mean, and I know that's probably what he's thinking. But the thing is, she may sell herself or as a, being Christian, but that is very, very, that can be very debatable based on other things that have come out possibly about her. So even though that title may be out there, she's using that very liberally. And and I don't know where he stands on some things, but that goes back to, I don't know who else has been on this show. I'm not exactly sure what his stance is on a lot of things, but I guess for him, when she said taking a bath together, that was really way over the line, because that was something I definitely was sitting there waiting to hear what his response was going to be, because now we're talking. I mean, that's not advice that you give to single people, period. It's just not, that's just not, there's nothing that's going to be, why would anybody ever say that? That's not something you can say to the average person and think they're going to be successful. Really?
Yeah. And obviously, like when you see the conclusion of that conversation, she wasn't successful in it either, because she didn't remain in that relationship, bath and all. So I think that, it's so, and I'm not even defending him because like I said, I don't watch the content, but I do know that when you're sitting across from people, and I can even just say in person, I've had people say things to me, and later on I'm like, why didn't I say this? Like, why did I let that person say this to me? So you have those moments, because sometimes people really can shock you, and you're like, oh my God, I should have said this. And so I'm sure there's a lot of that. And so now this is kind of, you have to go in here and clean this up a little bit. So I think that's what he's trying.
I agree with you, because it happens in our personal life. I can just imagine if you're sitting on a show.
Exactly. So let's let him finish.
Insurance, or even the certification of higher education. I make a commitment to you that I will not put anybody on this stage, on this platform, who we have not appropriately vetted, who we have not done a due diligence scrub, because we understand what it means to hold ourselves accountable and to hold ourselves to be true. And so I make a pledge to do better and expose to you the best of every field and in every endeavor to always give you the highest in the achievement of that area.
So that answers the question right there. That's the end of it. The clip. He absolutely was called to task. They came for him, and he did not have an answer, because most people, nobody has an answer. Nobody has vetted this woman, and confirm anything that she has said. And so, he's being
Well, the
held
thing
here.
is, they're just assuming someone calling themselves doctor. You don't think that, well, wait, why are you going around on television and doing all? I mean, nobody who's bold enough to do that. How often does that happen? So I can
And
see
the
how it
people who
gets
call
there.
themselves doctors that aren't real doctor, most of the time it's clear that they're not a real doctor.
Like
They
Dr.
make it
Seuss.
because they call themselves a doctor of love or something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah,
Or if it's an honorary doctor, and they will come
exactly.
out and just say they're not licensed, a licensed professional. She will say she's not a licensed professional, but then she'll dance around it and say, I've done that and it wasn't working for me. And I don't want to do it that way. So I've decided to be a coach. It's kind of like Kevin Samuels
Mm.
when he was coming out saying that he was a chemical engineer and he just didn't like the work. So he decided to go work retail. And it took people like you, I was just telling them, who are real
Yeah.
engineers, to come out and say, nobody is leaving an engineering job to work at a retail store.
No, there's something seriously wrong. Something major happened. You didn't go to school all that time to go work retail unless there's a major problem. And I mean, with him, I was able to see where he slowly backed off of it, because he started out with, he graduated, he worked in the field. So, well, he went, but he didn't finish. And
Because
then you
some
find
engineers
out,
were coming for him. They were
yeah.
coming for him.
And then it came back. I think he only actually did the first year, so he never
Mhm.
actually even took an engineering class. So that's what it ended up
Yeah.
being. Yeah, he
Yeah.
had his reasons, but it was what it was.
Yeah. He came back and cleaned that up real quick. And unlike her, he just quit saying that stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. He
he left
knocked
it
it off.
alone.
Yep.
But it's
He
sad because people will do that because they know it gives them a level of credibility. That
Yeah.
is it. And that's why when I hear other people and they dismiss it, as some people may want to dismiss the idea of having degrees or being doctors, and all, there is a level of credibility that comes with that. And I think that it's a very good thing when those in the field will speak up and say, "Oh, wait, hold on, this person here is not being completely honest here. There's more to it. There's a reason we do these things." So,
Right.
because that's the only thing that protects us and keeps us
Hmm.
honest.
That's true. So, yeah, I think it's clear that he received some backlash and he had to come on. That's why, and he made that vow at the end, which I think is appropriate. At least he
Hmm.
did that. That from now on, we realize we just can't chase the algorithm. We're going to vet people before we have them on the show.
Yeah.
So that was fair.
Yeah.
And I think in case of a person, even if you're going to have somebody on there who they're full of mess, I think you have to be willing to interview them in a real way and ask the tough questions and really get
Agreed.
in there. Like, why are you doing this? Why
Exactly.
won't you just tell the truth?
And to be honest with you, I think that they should be. It's not even just about the credentials, but then the background of the people that you're dealing with, because there could be other things in someone's background that you may not necessarily even realize.
Mm-hmm.
And especially because of the area that he is in, he's in a religious space. He has to be careful about that. Other groups, somebody like a Cam Newton, they don't have to be as careful
Right.
about the people that they have on there, because you don't want to find out someone you were promoting all of a sudden is involved in something dealing with children or something, some kind of
You
something
get blamed for sending people
nefarious.
over
Yes,
there. Yeah.
exactly. You've been involved. Now you're in connection with it, or somebody wants to
Yes.
come back and say, "Well, I would never have known who that was if you wouldn't have said something about it, or had them on my show, on your show." So
Exactly. And people do that. They're like, well, you're the one that put them in front of us and brought them to us. So we assumed that this person was legit.
yeah, we only trusted them because we thought, well, you're a Christian, so we thought we could trust you. And so I mean, it gives you something to think about when you start presenting people. We assume that, hey, you've at
And you
least
didn't give
vetted
them
them.
any pushback and you didn't question the controversy. You even let us know that,
Yep,
hey, there's a problem here. So we had no way of knowing. So I get that as well. So
absolutely.
So before we get out of here, I wanted to say hi to everybody watching, and thank you for being with us. And as you all can see, we are doing some major construction to our little network here. So you see, the Hebrew Woman Show has received a recent facelift, and we have new banners and avatars, and we have a new logo. The same has happened across the platforms. That goes for the Working Class Chronicles, the Renaissance Women Show, and we're going back to Real Talk with Real People. And I want you all to make sure you stop over and check out the new looks and like, share, and subscribe to all of our platforms, because we're really going to be taking things in a different direction. And I appreciate your support. Zell, you got any final words for them?
No, I think that's about it. I'm
So-
looking forward to the new look myself.
And so we're going to head over to the Renaissance Woman Show. Not the Renaissance Woman Show, to Real Talk with Real People. And that is our community space where we're going to be able to talk about a variety of topics, because I do think we need to have a conversation about, and maybe we'll get into looking at Jamal Bryant's channel, but I also want to talk about the Abba and Preach situation, because these are prominent YouTubers. These are people who, again, for me, it's always, no matter what channel we're on, I'm always going to come at it from a leadership perspective as well as a spiritual, I come from my own faith-based perspective. And so I view the world through my lens, and the whole purpose of these platforms is to bring in diverse opinions and hear other people's take on them. But for me, this again is what happens when you present one way and you're living a double life.
Yep.
So we'll talk about it. Thanks for watching. Shalom. And I will put the links to all of the channels and things in the description later. Thanks for watching. Shabbat shalom.
Shalom.